Winning is costing me my sanity. I understand that most of your advice is geared towards online business and entrepreneurship. However, I genuinely enjoy legal and solicitor work. Here in the US, becoming a solicitor requires a bachelor's degree, which I have, and a graduate degree in law. I'm currently preparing for the LSAT law school admission test, and honestly, my anxiety is through the roof. When I reflect on it, I realize this anxiety is a recurring pattern for me, something that shows up whenever I deeply care about something. A few months ago, I was neurotic about my grades, which I ended up acing, but at the cost of my mental peace. Yeah, you sound like a high performer. Before that, I was hyper fixated on making at least 2,000 a month from my business, and I achieved that too. This strikes me as someone who is a winner, who is a high performer, who's destined for success, but just doesn't realize that success doesn't come usually to the normal, it comes to the exceptional. I also became obsessed with finding a successful mentor and solicitor to learn from, which I eventually did. No matter the goal, I always throw my entire mind into it, treating every day like it's game 7. I usually come out on top, but it's exhausting and mentally draining. It's made me question whether a high achieving lifestyle is truly sustainable for me. If you are the type of person that I think you are, you won't really be able to live any other way. If you are like a high performer who is capable of extreme success and winning in competition, you trying to live a bit more of a peaceful life is just not going to work. Go ahead and try it, and you will drive yourself insane. There's a quote which is, "Under peaceful conditions, the warlike man attacks himself." Whenever I have like an extremely non-ambitious lifestyle, like, I've stopped caring about growing so much in my fitness or in my business, I end up in a weird way attacking myself, self-sabotaging, attacking the people I love. I end up destroying parts of my own business or whatever. So people like us are meant to keep busy. People like us are meant to patrol the perimeter of our tribe. And if you start getting lazy in the sense that, oh, well, I'm not sure if I want to live this life, there usually isn't much of an alternative for people like us. We're the type of people who don't retire. Even if you've got enough money in the bank, like I do, I actually have enough money that I never need to work again. I can still wake up and still work first thing in the morning, almost every day of the week, Sundays and whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Because if not, what the fuck else are you going to do? Life is just so boring for the high achiever who has potential. And I know a few guys, when I post this video on YouTube, are nodding their head. Life is so boring if you are someone who is capable of great things, but you are not achieving those great things. The only people who are fine with the sort of non-striving lifestyle are those that aren't very capable people in the first place. So, the type of person who actually is fine sitting down and playing some video games and whatever, and he actually genuinely enjoys it. It's because he's not really capable of that much in his life, and he's able to just absorb himself into the virtual world and watch some, reality TV show or whatever. But when you are literally capable of leading movements or designing things that will change the world, or, you said, okay, you're into legal work, like law school, you can change the verdict of a criminal case. These are big things. You won't be fine just sitting around, just lounging around. Now, don't get me wrong, rest is important. I sleep 10 hours a night, of course, but there's certain people who are not meant to just maintain. We are meant to win. And if you're watching this, if you're the type of person who watches my content, you're kind of weird like me. I'm sorry if I'm the one who has to break the news to you. But yeah, we are fucking weird. Of course we are, because we're the type of people who end up fucking dominating industries because we're just fucking savages. I'm willing to I've broke up with every fucking girl that I've loved just so I can focus more on business. What kind of fucking psychopathic trait is that? And I know that a lot of guys watching this are nodding their heads because you've done the exact same thing. Do you know like all the fucking little virgins from high school? You think they would have done that? Of course not. Most guys are fine with their little 5 out of 10 girlfriend. Most guys are fine with 2K a month, or maybe I'll get a promotion, 2.2K a month or some shit. Most guys are fine with that. 5K a month, okay, let's go to the restaurant. I'll buy a nice shirt and this is my life now. Most guys are fine with the standards of mediocrity. But some people aren't. And you can try and change it if you genuinely think you'd be like overall more fulfilled, living the peaceful sort of, okay, I'll just like do nothing with my life. I'm just fine making a few K a month and being like a 6 out of 10 in like my sort of field or whatever. Give it a try if you want. But what you probably will find is overall, in the seasons in which you are not ambitious, you will be less happy, you will have less fun, and also you'll grow less. What I find in the seasons where I'm more ambitious is that I am more happy. I literally have more fun in the day, like more smiles in the day, and I win more and I get more success and it challenges me more. My skills go up in life. Like winning and success is a beautiful thing. Don't you let anyone, like, the modern world's narrative about winning, especially when we talk about the costs of winning, most people will tell you, like, oh, it's crazy, oh, whatever. And maybe they're right. Maybe they are for them. But this is why no one will ever remember their name. Some people were meant to win. Some people are just better than others. Some people are just hardwired, whether through genetics or your own belief system, to just dominate other people. It is just the case. This is literally just human fucking nature. Most people just follow the herd and they're fine with just living like a life of like mediocrity and norm. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, sure, fair enough. I've always made my videos for the black sheep, the wolf in the sheep's clothing like me, who's never been fine with that, who's always had this agitation of wanting to do something in my life, but I just never knew it was winning and success and growth and progress that I wanted. I wanted to dominate my goals. I wanted to win in competition. I just never knew that when I was young because no one ever kind of looked at me and sort of, gave me that kind of pathway up until I kind of discovered it, and now I've got you onto it. So I'm sorry to say if this is the first time you're realizing this, but like, if this is how you feel, then you're supposed to be a winner. And overall, the life of a winner and the life of a loser, overall, we have the better lives. We just go through more of a bigger ebb and flow. We go through bigger spikes and bigger dips in life. The people who stay, mediocre and they don't really think about winning so much, they live a life that's kind of like this, where they'll have some bad days, some good days, whatever, but life is like this. For people like us, life is like this. Like, it's way more variance. People like us, we become wildly successful, have everything, and then we lose it all. People like us have like the greatest level of discipline, and then you're randomly addicted to like fucking heroin or some shit. We have the propensity to massive ebbs and flows in our behavior because we just have like winner's mindset. We just have extreme mindsets. So how things used to be in the past for people like us was, it was pretty shitty. It was like, okay, well, you could become very successful in, sports and whatever. And, you become like some Hollywood celebrity, some singer. But then, you have to like hang out with pedophiles and you have to play the weird games with children on like the islands and stuff. So it was a bit of a shit life. And then when you did kind of like fall off a little bit, or let's say you built up a decent life, you made money, you had a family, but then you lose all of it because, people didn't really realize how to sort of balance the things. Now we live in the greatest time in history where us winners, we still have the propensity towards extreme success, including, for example, like family success and security and all those great things in life. But we also now have the awareness, the education, and the wisdom to know that people like us are at risk of destroying it all. And so this is why people like us, like I tell you all the time, to meditate, journal, because those things keeps you at a stable level. Do you see how like before 10, 20, 30 years ago, it was the norm for extremely successful, like weird winners to become so successful, but then, you lose it all because of drugs and whatever. But we live now in the best time where we can look at like the sad tales of the winners from the past and realize how many of them just fucked it up. They cheated on their wives, they ruined the family, they got into trouble with the police and whatever. And now we can take the best part of them, which was like the killer mindset, but make sure we safeguard ourselves against losing it all, like through the way that, a lot of athletes lose it all from like getting some random hoe pregnant, or you catch a case and you end up like assaulting a fucking police officer or some stupid shit like that. Now a lot of us can learn from those lessons but still be winners, which means that you win and you keep winning and you safeguard the win. Now we live in the best time ever. Now it's like before you could have argued like that life was very chaotic and the life of the sort of middle class white picket fence father was better. You know, he makes 3K, 4K a month, and his wife only cheats on him like a few times in their marriage. You could have argued that life was better. Now there's no argument. The winner's life is the best. Because if you're a winner, but you also do the things that safeguard you, like for example, you meditate and you put all of your money in your mother's name or something, so some random girl who tries to get pregnant from you doesn't get it from you, whatever, like shit like that. Now it's like, okay, we win with all the upside, and the downside when you set up things correctly, it's actually not as bad as it used to be. So this is what it looks like. Is you're just the winner, bro. This is a feature, not a bug. Being a winner means that you're not gonna have the same sound mind that the mediocre person is going to have. The normal person who lives a normal life, they scroll, they play video games, they know about the newest TV show, for example. Their mind is actually fairly pleasant. Like they're at like a 6 out of 10 in happiness, where yeah, they're kind of miserable and stuff, but also when they stop off at McDonald's today, they're actually kind of happy. And with their 3, 4, 5 out of 10 girlfriend, they're pretty happy. And the newest update just came out in Fortnite. They're actually pretty happy. Like, the person who's got his needs met. Of course, being financially really fucked up is different. But let's say, the person who ends up just getting an okay job, he's like a pretty normal person, he watches TV and whatever. They end up having like a 5, 6 out of 10 life, 6 out of 10 happiness. And that's like, there's nothing crazy wrong with that. For people like us, we can very much have a mind that feels like a 1 out of 10 in happiness if you haven't learned to control it. This is why a lot of the lessons I post, a lot of it is to do with mindset. In fact, for Ahmed here, who wrote this post, for everyone who's watching this on YouTube. So Ahmed here, who's wrote this post, he's inside of my program where I've literally made like courses on how to think like a successful person who doesn't fucking lose it all. So let me just max quickly and just try and sell you my program. If you go to the top link in the description, that you get like this program, which is really affordable, but you get a ton of courses and community and whatever. But this first course here is the most recent one that I've just made, because I make like new courses for this place. And there is so many modules on what we're talking about here, on like becoming a high performer. So this is like training for, 1, to become like the high performer that we're talking about, but also 2, if you are the high performer, how to like live like this without fucking it all up, basically. And I train you to like be able to be a winner and whatever. So these are lessons never posted anywhere else onto YouTube and everything. So you can have a look at this, Ahmed, if you haven't been through that course already. And he said, I've tried meditating, journaling, and following your mental health and law of attraction videos. I understand the logic and the principles behind them, but I struggle to fully apply them. I can't seem to shake the anxiety until I've actually accomplished what I set out to do. Maybe that's just the price of winning, but I'm not sure if I can keep paying it if it costs my sanity. So you are going to keep paying the price of winning, because that's just who you are. It's not going to stop. You can try and stop for a few months if you want, but you'll only look back and regret that time, because you just weren't living up to your potential. And you'll notice that those periods of a few months where you weren't grinding were actually, in a weird way, less enjoyable than the periods of ambition. Never mind also the periods of ambition, you develop skills and acquire resources, and you go through challenges that make you proud of yourself. So I would suggest, don't go through like the debate of like, oh, but I'm not sure if I can live like this because it's bad for my sanity. But rather, you just need to improve your mental space. So that's where that course that I just mentioned comes in. And you said you can't shake the anxiety until I've actually accomplished what I set out to do. There's one thing I've noticed with a lot of winners, which is different from me. I am a big pusher for having joy through every day of your life. I have never been stupid enough to ever say the words like, oh, I'll be happy when that thing changes. And you probably have, most people have. This is just like level 1 mental training. Never ever believe to yourself, oh, I'll be happy when I get a girlfriend. I'll be happy when this work project completes. I'll be happy when I make 2K. No. Happiness is something that you can hack today, whether you are rich, fat, poor, it doesn't fucking matter. Happiness is so little correlated to most real world things, like how much money you have. There's poor people who are happy and there's rich people who are miserable. And in general, the person who has it all actually isn't actually like that much more happier than the person who has almost nothing. Happiness is not very much correlated to material success. Happiness is correlated to what? The inner mind. Imagine having the best physique in the world and also all the money that you want and all the clout and followers and whatever that you want. That will probably make up, I would say, I would tell you, like, because look, I've got that, right? I've got, in my opinion, close to my sort of 10 out of 10 dream physique. You might disagree, but I'm talking about my preference. I already make infinite amounts of money for my use, and I've got millions of followers. So I've already achieved like most people's dream life when I'm like in my 20s. And I'm telling you right now, all of that accounts to my happiness, maybe somewhere from like 1 to 5%. So where does 95% of your happiness come from? It's just in how you deal with your mind. The greatest source of joy and basically 99% of source of misery is your mind. Not at the real world, but actually how your mind sees the world. You can literally choose to smile and feel happy, but you choose not to because you're assigning outside events to dictate your happiness, which is really pathetic. You can choose to just be happy and joyful. What you need to do is two things. One, fake a smile. So whenever possible, 50 times a day, force a smile onto your face and it feels stupid and for like 3 seconds. And then it literally just turns into like a real smile and it's awesome. Okay, fair, it's done. Literally just fake force a smile. Done. Like it's so easy to do. That's one thing. But two, there's a spiritual practice, which is a lot of our energy comes from our heart chakra. And I know that sounds silly, but this is actually 100% true. I learned this at like, I don't know, I must have been like 20, 21 years old, 22 years old. And I didn't know it was like a spiritual practice, but it turns out that I just happened to be someone who sort of naturally understood how to increase joy in life, how to turn on the emotion of joy. And this is like, honestly, this is more valuable than $1 million. So hopefully you should really pay attention to this. How do you turn on joy and happiness, especially whilst on the pursuit of massive success? Because you don't want to say that, oh, well, I'll be joyful when I get successful, because we all know that that's not how it works. I'll be joyful when I hit that PR. Yeah, maybe for 5 seconds and it goes back to normal before you start attempting for the next one. Joy does not need a prerequisite. What it needs is two things. You need to smile and have the bodily sort of actions of the person who's joyful. You need, like, the people think the smile comes after the happiness. First we're happy, then we smile. No. First we smile, then we become happy. That's one really important thing. So just remind yourself to smile, especially at like in sort of a habitual practice. So whenever I drive to the gym, I always remind myself to smile. And 9 times out of 10, I'm literally like laughing when I'm driving to the gym of how joyful I am because I've built up this habit. So when I get into the gym, I'm already there with a smile and I'm saying hello to everyone. And, it just sort of positively gives you that feedback. But the other thing is opening up your heart. Your heart is like an energy center for joy and for love and receptivity, but it closes under pain and under any kind of sort of negative emotion or perception of the world. When we get a negative thought, our heart closes and our ability to sort of feel love and joy kind of closes. And this is going to sound probably vague. It works for me. But the way that you stop your heart, like the way you open your heart, is to just don't let it close. Notice when your heart is closed, that's when you have this almost like depressed kind of energy and you're viewing everything automatically in a negative light. You look at your physique, it doesn't look that good. You think about that fight that you had with someone, maybe they'll reply, maybe they'll text you and it'll be bad. And also I feel kind of shit and, I feel kind of low, whatever. It's the equivalent of like you've texted a girl and she's not replied. You have this down energy like all day. Let's say now, randomly on your phone, you get a massive text from her and she's being so sweet and she's like, okay, I'm just going to put this out there, but I actually really, really like you and I feel so vulnerable saying this, but I really, really like you. Can we meet tonight? You know how instantly you would kind of open with so much infinite energy and you'd be smiling. That is your God-given gift. Like you have that energy inside of you and there's nothing stopping you living like that 24/7. That's your natural state. Like the people who are the healthiest, sort of like the most spiritual people, they're just like this all the time. They're just like genuinely like they've gotten that kind of text. They're just like walking around happy. And I'm like this quite often, nowhere near as like, all the time, but I'm like this like way more than the average person. You're supposed to be like that. But then something happens. Usually you just get a negative thought in your mind and that's when your heart closes down. So whenever you notice your heart is kind of closing and you've got that sort of like depressed, oh, she's not replied back kind of energy, you need to basically manually open the heart and almost just act as if you've just gotten the best text message ever from like a girl who's exactly your type. Because you can turn it on. When you really think about it, like your heart, your brain doesn't really know. Like it's not a real thing when you get the text or not and your energy changes. that energy that you're just allowing yourself to feel when you get the perfect text message from the girl who's like, your crush, you can just turn on that same energy right now. Just when you remind yourself, try it right now. Try it like, in the last few minutes, you've probably been sat like a bitch. Just try right now. Act like you've just got the sweetest fucking text message from your crush, from the girl you're really into. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this. It's so embarrassing, but I really like you. And I really, like, can we meet tonight, whatever? And you're like, oh shit, you're so happy. You can just choose to be like that. And you will be like that for the next few seconds or minutes or so, up until your brain thinks something negative. And then you'll close down again. Up until you'll look at someone and they don't smile back at you, and you'll close down again. You'll get a negative memory, you'll close down again. What you need to do is whenever you notice yourself closing down, open yourself back up with that sort of visualization of like, oh yeah, there's nothing stopping me like being 24/7 how I would as if I got the best text message ever from the girl. Or imagine you're in the gym and like, some really sweet looking girl, hot girl, she holds eye contact with you and smiles, and you think to yourself like, yeah, well, I am pretty fucking handsome, I've been working hard on this shit. That energy that you have inside of you, that joy, you can just have it right now. You just need to remind yourself that you can have it right now. You have to just kind of get the memory that, oh yeah, you can be like that. And then it just kind of like starts to open again for the next few minutes up until it closes again. So this is important in terms of this context, because that is where real happiness and mental sanity comes from, not from the list of achievements that you've got. Because, for example, my physique looks like this, but I can still like 2 minutes from now almost forget what my physique looks like when my brain is just kind of thinking negatively about something. The same with like my bank account. I've got like over $1 million here, million there, million here, whatever. And you kind of forget those things when you're in like a negative thought loop. It's not the achievements that increase your happiness. It's just the way your mind and your sort of body is. That's like way more of how you feel mentally. So don't think that you will feel better when you've accomplished what you set out to do. That's just not true. Come on, we all know this. Don't be a fucking retard. We know this. If you think that, I'll get the physique, then I'll be happy, whatever. We all know that's not true. That's not how happiness works. Work hard. Work like a maniac. But stay smiling and with that open heart energy throughout the entire thing. Because your happiness and your joy and your sort of mental sanity is not correlated to like, have you done the work that you said you would, whatever. But rather it's just correlates to like, how open is your heart? How many times did you force a smile today? Are you speaking to happy people who are also smiling? Those are the things that correlate to your sort of mental sanity way more. So as you are on the journey of being a winner and working really hard, add this into your daily routine. There's no reason why you can't work like a fucking psycho today whilst also smiling through the 3 fucking workouts that you do, and you're working through the hours and everything. Or Adi Ra said, the richest guys are dissatisfied. If they go under a certain amount of money, they'll go crazy and wake up in the middle of the night until they fix it. Yeah. And he said, Vignesh said, if you truly enjoy it, it's what you want to do and you do it. If you don't enjoy it, there's something you need to change. Just do what you want. I know people who have taken the LSAT, most fail the first time. Take relief knowing you face a hard challenge. It does not mean you are dumb if you fail. Yeah, the advice I would give to this guy, to Ahmed, is it's completely normal to feel like this when you are like a winner, a high performer with massive standards. I would carry on being the same type of way, because I don't think you can just change and be okay with being like a fucking mediocre little human being anymore. But I would just add in some of the sort of spiritual work alongside this so that you have the mental space of someone who's happy whilst also grinding. The book that I'd recommend to read is The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer. For everyone else, top link in the description, you can join our community. If you relate to this, by the way, if you relate to being like a winner, like you heard me talk about it, this is the place you want to be, with other fucking weird psychopaths who are serious on this journey of growth, who are disciplined, who are becoming successful. This is where you want to be. Top link in the description. Goodbye.